Today we're going to paint a red butterfly on a heart rock.
As an artist, one of the things I get asked the most is, can you teach me how to paint? Hey, I'm Lori, seascape, landscape, and animal acrylic painter, and I love encouraging others in their artistic journey. Free acrylic painting tutorials are what this channel is all about, so if you're new here, you'll want to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Watch until the end of the video if you want to see some behind the scenes footage. Now let's get into the tutorial.
The first thing I'm going to do is draw out the outline of the butterfly in black. So I live quite close to a beach that every time I go out I find heart rocks, and I'm just happy to find some inspiration to paint on them. So doing this first step of painting it black is going to make all the other steps quite quick and easy. So if you have a lot of people that you want to give a present to on Valentine's Day, this could be something that you could make quite a few of. Being that Valentine's Day is coming up, would make a nice little present for someone. And you don't have to use a heart-shaped rock, but if you happen to find a lot like I do, makes it extra special, doesn't it? I paint a lot of mini canvases, so I'm used to painting small. This just seemed to be another kind of cost-saving way of getting into painting. If a person can't invest in a lot of art supplies, rocks are free. As you can see, at first I started out with a smaller butterfly and I just keep kind of growing it. And I'm going to let this layer dry before I go on to the next layers. And I'm going to use my small brush still and start putting in some nice detail of this wing. And here's a tip. Mix your red with some white and it will make it more opaque. I'm going to block in most of the color with this kind of medium-sized brush and then go to a really fine detail brush to make it look a little prettier, make the shapes look a little bit more purposeful. This brush size is a little bit too big, so I need to go to a smaller brush because I really want the black lines in between all these little designs, because that was the whole purpose of painting the whole butterfly in black first. And now I have to do a mirror image on this side. Whatever I ended up doing on the left side has to be done on the right side. So I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they don't have to be a precise mirror image because each wing is kind of a slightly different angle from the center, but there needs to be the same amount of shapes in approximately the same locations on the wing with nice black lines in between. I can always go back and fill in those black lines again, but if we can do this part right, we shouldn't have to. And again, I need to repeat what I did on this side in approximately the same locations, kind of like that. I'm going to have to go back and fix that one with some black paint, but it's coming along. Looks like a nice Valentine's butterfly so far. So I'm going to let that amount of red dry and go into my white for some speckles, which my butterfly is going to actually need a bit more black in this area to leave room for some speckles, some beautiful white speckles on this type of butterfly. And when I do the white speckles, I'm going to have to use a very tiny brush. I'm used to painting on mini canvases, not on rocks, so I'm finding the texture is kind of a little tricky. The texture of the rock itself isn't as easy as painting on these mini canvases that I've been doing my tutorials on. If you want to check those out, I have over 106 other videos to paint along. Some of them are time-lapsed if you are a quick learner and you just need to see the process, and some of them are step-by-step tutorials where you can just paint along at the same time. Needs to be a line in between those two stripes. And these ones too. And these ones too. Really want to have lots of speckles, so I need to make sure I've got some black wing out here to put my white speckles on. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So if any of you has geologists in their family to know why some rocks turn out to be heart-shaped, I'd love to know why. We find them super comforting in my family. My sister passed away about 10 years ago, and ever since we've been finding heart rocks everywhere. So here's those nice little speckles I was talking about, and there's about 2 rows of them down here as well. Kind of reminds me of doilies, the lace. Do you know how hard it is to talk when you're painting? I can't believe how hard it is to talk. Let's use the same part of your brain. Okay, so if we put a little tiny line there and there, it'll look like that's sort of where the head starts. And then if we put a little white stripe on the back, it'll kind of give the impression of a curved back if I maybe put some more black back in. Like that. Maybe point the ends of that little, yeah, like that. Somehow if you shape that white line so that it looks like a bit of a elongated moon shape almost, then it makes the body look like it's got some roundness to it. And now I'm going to do another little tiny skinny little white line right here. And just those little details make the body look like it's got some shape to it. Maybe reflecting some kind of light because it's a bit rounded. And then down here we can put a few little stripes. Like, so I've wiped most of the paint off my brush and I'm just barely touching in this kind of striped shape to give the body some detail. Oops. That was way too thick. So the nice thing about black and white is that you can just use the black to erase the white, use the white to erase the black. So that's looking pretty good. And then I can do the antennas with some, just the littlest bit of black paint. I'm going to thin it down a lot so that I can make a really thin line. And just barely touch the rock with the tip of my paintbrush. Curve it a bit. And then at the end of it, it could be a bit thicker. Okay, so I just added a little shadow to make it look like the butterfly was landing on the rock, and I painted the background gray. And that's just a nice little project to do for Valentine's Day and to gift to someone in your life. I hope that that inspired you to make one or many, and I invite you to subscribe to this channel for more art inspiration. Here are some of those heart rocks I told you about. I found many, many more than these, but here's just a couple. I think my favorite is that one. They're from this beautiful beach near my house. Let me know in the comments where you find your heart rocks.